What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, and oh my God, what a week. There is so much to discuss, so much to dive into, so much has happened, so much music, pop culture news, releases, announcements, just like so much has happened. There is so much to discuss, and I cannot wait to dive in. I've been thinking about this literally all week that I just couldn't wait to sit down and chat with my girls, my gays, and my theys and just discuss the world of pop culture that has been this past week because holy shit, there is a lot. But before we hop into everything, we like to play catch up, just chit chat, talk about how we're feeling, what is going on. So as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week thus far. It was like a snowstorm this morning in New York City, like full on snow, rain, ice, wind, and by the time I left, the sun was out, it was melted, like very weird weather we're having in New York. Don't understand what's happening, just like a lot going on. But that being said, since the last time we spoke, some things have happened. I took my first Pilates class. I got invited to the People's Choice Awards, and Beyonce announced that she's releasing an album next month. So really cool, casual, nothing major going on, just really normal things happening. But yes, you heard me right. I got invited to the People's Choice Awards this weekend, which is so crazy to say. I am so excited. You guys know I love events, I love going to shows, things like that. So to be invited to an award show because of the podcast is so exciting. There's so many, Beyonce's nominated, Taylor Swift's nominated, Selling Sunset's nominated, the Kardashians are nominated, Miley is nominated. So many people that I've talked about on the podcast are nominated. I know Taylor, Beyonce, they're not going to be there, but it's still exciting. They're nominated. It's just cool to be a part of it. So I got invited to go. I am headed to LA this weekend. It's a short trip. I'm only there for 2 or 3 days, but I'm so stoked and just honored to have been invited. That's such a cool thing to be considered for, and doing this for only, what is it, 4 months? Yeah, just under 4 months, and to already be invited is so cool. And I'm really excited. I haven't been to LA since it's been a while. Obviously, I was just in Vegas, but I haven't been to LA in 3 years. So I'm excited to be back. And I'll actually be staying in Santa Monica, which is cool because I've never been. So I'm very excited. So make sure you're following me on all socials, on my personal and on the podcast account. I am at Andrew Nucatola on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and I am at Tupop to Handle. Same places, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. So I'll be posting tidbits throughout the weekend. I'll do a travel vlog, the whole vibe, you know how it goes. Make sure you're following me and we'll do a full recap of the show next week. But I am so excited, and make sure you tune in this Sunday, February 18th, on NBC Peacock E at 8 p.m. Eastern of 5 p.m. Pacific, and tune in to see who the people's choices were because I cannot wait to see who we all voted for. And like I said, there is so much to discuss. Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, the Wicked trailer, so much. And I think for the sake of, not making this an hour and a half episode, I think we just hop right in and we just start discussing the magnitude of pop culture events that went down this past week. So you guys know the drill. First up is our Drew releases segment. So new music that came out last week, and then there's a few releases coming out this week that I'm super excited for. So first up on our list from last week's releases, and it is my favorite of these releases, is Girl in Red's new single, Too Much, from her upcoming album, I'm Doing It Again, Baby, dropped on Friday, and it is so good. My favorite of the releases last week by far. The sound is so good, the message is so good. I think this is such a strong lead single for this second album, and if the rest of the album sounds like this or has this vibe to it, I'm already full in because I just love her, but I'm in. I am so stoked. If you haven't listened to it, don't stop the episode, wait till it's over, and then go listen to it. It is so good. It's all about kind of just someone telling you that you're doing too much, you're extra, you're over the top, which I have been told many of times by many of people. So fuck you guys, but also I totally get what she's saying. So yeah, it's such a good song. She's talking about, if I'm too much for you, then maybe it's time for us to split. Don't tell me, pretty much don't dim my sparkle. Don't stop being yourself for somebody else. It is so good. I love the lyrics. I love the sound. 10 out of 10 release from Girl in Red. If this is any inkling of how the rest of the album sounds, perfect album is on the horizon. Moving down the list, Miss Casey Musgrave. She just never disappoints. The lead single from her upcoming album, Deeper Well, dropped on Friday, and I love it. It is so typical traditional Casey, that like slowed down kind of country vibe, but like like I said it a few weeks ago when she did the Bob Marley release, but her voice, I could just listen to her sing anything, and she did it again. So this is the lead single and actually the title track from her upcoming album Deeper Well, which comes out in March. And this song pretty much is just like a new beginning for Casey. Like she's saying like, my Saturn has returned. I am learning things. She's cutting off the people in her life who don't bring her joy, who don't bring any good energy. And I think that's such like a strong message to like start an album with. It's actually not the track one, but it is the first single. So to me, a lead single is supposed to be the message that like is conveyed on the whole album. You know what I mean? Like this is your first listen into the album. So this is what the artist wants us to hear, wants us to think about. Like first impressions matter, and she is giving us a great first impression for this album. In the chorus, she says, "I'm leaving the people who waste my time. It's been a good time, but I've found a deeper well." So cutting them off, you know, and I like that she said like she's had a good time, but like it's time for her to move on. Like she's not regretting it. And I think that's like a really important message. You know, a lot of the times when whether it's a breakup with like a partner, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a friend, family, sometimes, like sometimes you have to cut relationships off, you know, because they're not doing anything for you anymore. They're not helping you as much as they're hurting you. And it doesn't have to be like bad blood. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be a bad thing. You can stop dating somebody, stop being friends with somebody, and it not be like a big blowout. You could have fun. You could admit like, oh, they were great while they were, but I'm moving on. I've grown. We're supposed to grow as people, you know what I mean? So I am so excited for this album to come out next month. And our next release was Maggie Rogers, Don't Forget Me, another title track. So it's actually interesting. This is the title track of her upcoming album, and it's the last track on the album. So this is how she ends it. And it's emotional. There's a lot of emotion within this song. She's pretty much saying like she's watching her friends fall in love and questioning it when it's her time, questioning if it's their time. And it's so being 29 or I'm not 29 yet, being 28 and like I'm in a relationship, but like I that there's that feeling of like, you know, you're seeing your friends dating people and they're like, "Oh, we're going to get married," or they're getting married, and like I remember being single and being like, everybody around me is dating. Everybody around me is getting married, having kids, buying a house. I'm like, when is it my turn? How do you know it's your turn? Like, it is such a relatable message, you know what I mean? And within the song, she says, "Give me something I can handle, a good lover or someone who's nice to me. Take my money, wreck my Sundays, love me till your next somebody, and promise me when it's time to leave, don't forget me." Which, like, punch me in the gut. Oh my God. So she's saying, she's like, I know this might not be a forever thing, but she's just looking for someone to like spend her time with for now. Like, take my Sundays, take my money, like, you know, let's do life together, but I know you're going to leave me eventually. So when it's time for you to go, just like, don't forget me. Don't forget that I was a chapter in your life. And that's such like you kind of know someone's not in your life forever, but you're keeping them around for now. And like, you know, things might end, but you're like, I hope when things do end or if things do end, like, you don't forget about me. You know, it's like, what does Taylor say? She's like, when you point to the pictures, tell them my name. Like, don't forget about me. You know, I was a part of your life. You're a part of my life. And it's like that. I feel like human beings, we fear that like we're not a big part of someone's life, you know, like we're gonna be just like a small blip in someone's life who was a huge chapter in our lives. And it's like, it's a weird feeling, you know, I don't know. So you know, hearing that, I was like, whoa, this is just like a very relatable, good message. Loved it. I'm so excited for new Maggie. She never disappoints. So that is coming out in April. No, March. She is also, oh my God, so much happening in March. There's just like so much going on. And then the fourth, so when I was doing the episode, I struggled with how to go about ending my releases because there was obviously two giant releases by Beyoncé. And they're not going to fall in the Drew releases category. So don't you worry, we're going to get to the Beyonce releases, but our last Drew release for now is Tori Kelly High Water. So we didn't know this was coming. It actually was a surprise drop on Friday morning, and it is part of her upcoming album, Tori. It's self-titled, and it seems to be a continuation of her EP that dropped last year, which I loved. It was such a good. And so we got the first single of the album, which is High Water, and my first initial thoughts, I was like, this is kind of religious. She kind of went through her like religious phase, which like do your thing. I'm not going to judge somebody for, finding their spirit and whatever, but like it's just like not for me. But I really like the way the song sounds. It has this like almost like gospel choiry sound to it, but still kind of that like pop feel. It's like it's got a good mix of the two. And I love the message. She's pretty much just saying like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Like don't know what's going to happen tonight, but if I can get to tomorrow, like everything's going to be okay. And like yeah, very much that. So loving the new release from Tori. Very excited for new music from her. She doesn't disappoint. And our upcoming releases this week, very exciting. First up is Kim Petras Slut Pop Miami. So it's a continuation of her Slut Pop album, which if you've heard it, I don't need to say anything else. People have heard it already, and they're saying that it has like a 90s house vibe to it, or at least my friend who heard it, that's what he told me. Hi Sean, if you're listening. So I'm excited for it. I haven't heard it yet. It's coming out. It comes out the day that the day that this episode goes live. So it comes out on Valentine's Day. So I haven't heard it, but very excited for that. New Kim, we'll talk about that next week. And then you guys know the big release coming out this week, in my world at least, is Dua Lipa Training Season. So we heard the song on the Grammy. She's been teasing it nonstop. There's apparently a 10-minute music video coming out for it, which is like kind of major. I'm beginning to think that this is the original single that she was supposed to release as the lead. If you remember a few episodes back when she dropped Houdini, I said that it came out that the Houdini wasn't supposed to be the lead single from this third album, but she scrapped it because of everything going on with the war overseas, and she didn't want like there was like explosions and stuff within the video, so she scrapped it just like out of respect for that, which I totally understand. So I'm very curious if we're getting the original music video or if it's going to be a reshoot. Like I don't know. There's not much to it. I also don't know if this is the original lead single, but a 10-minute music video, like that sounds very lead single. So I'm very excited for that. And those are our upcoming releases. It is such a big year for music. I say it every single week, and every week I just get proved that like this year is going to be crazy for music. And it just keeps getting better somehow. And I'm so excited. So let's move on because we have not even scratched the surface of what has gone on this past week. So, the big elephant in the room is obviously the Super Bowl. Now, I know what you're thinking. When have you and your limpy wrists ever cared about the Super Bowl? And to that, I say in 2013 when Beyoncé did the halftime show, in 2016 when Beyoncé did the halftime show, and last year when Brianna did the halftime show. It's no brainer that football is not my thing. I don't pay attention. I do watch the Super Bowl pretty much every year, but when I say watch, I mean it's on in the background. I watch the commercials and the halftime show. That's really it. Obviously, this year it was different. There was a shift, and I am no I'm not even going to try to deny the fact that I was more interested because of Taylor Swift. Like 100% I was tuned in because I wanted to see Taylor Swift. I wanted to see who she brought to the game with her. I wanted to see all of it. It's an exciting time to be a Taylor Swift fan. And it showed this year's Super Bowl had the most viewers of any televised event since the moon landing, which is crazy to think about. So I know I'm not alone. It was a great one. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know much about football in itself, like the game, but the last quarter and the overtime, super like eventful. There was so much going on. The first half, I was like, they kind of suck. Like they're not really doing much. It was kind of boring. But I understand like that's how football kind of works. Like you don't it's the first half of the game is kind of just like, all right, let's do our thing, let's show off what we rehearsed for, and we will kind of, kick it into high gear in the third and fourth quarter. But yeah, I enjoyed watching it, and I more so enjoyed the commercials because holy shit. So off the bat, I think it was literally 15 minutes into the game, we get the Wicked trailer, or excuse me, the Wicked first look. And that is important to separate the two because of the trailer and the first look. I will get into why that's important. But me and Thomas were in the kitchen we made pizzas that night, and I was cutting up olives and I was snacking on them while I was cutting them. Put one in my mouth, and I heard Defying Gravity come on the TV. When I tell you I ran so fast from the kitchen to the living room that I choked on the olive, I've never seen a better interpretation of gay panic in my life. We legitimately, I mean, our apartment isn't huge, but like booked it. The 15 steps it takes to get from our kitchen to our living room, full sprint. We were like, and then we continued to just rewatch it and rewatch it. And oh my God, this trailer. Let's take it back a few. So before we hop into the actual first look and, break it down, last week it was announced that Disney is releasing Moana 2 on the same day that Wicked Part 1 comes out, which just seems stupid. So Thanksgiving is obviously a big blockbuster day. Like movies always come out on Thanksgiving and Christmas. Like it's just a thing that they do. Disney releasing Moana 2 the same day as Wicked Part 1. Wicked, which has been one of the most anticipated movies in years. Like, I'm like, why are you doing that? It just seems silly. Also, the fact that Moana 2 was even coming out, it literally like was a surprise announcement. No one knew it was happening. I don't know. It is cool. The girls who wrote the music for Moana 2 actually started writing music on TikTok and got picked up that way. So, like, shout out to creators doing your thing. Kind of crazy that somebody who was making TikToks is now producing the music for Moana 2. So, like, that, all respect is due, you know. But little weird that they're releasing it the same day. Regardless of that, I will be seated for Wicked Part 1. Will not be seeing Moana 2 in theaters. I'll catch it when it's on streaming. Anyway, let's dive into this first look because holy shit. Holy shit. So, like I said earlier, it is important to, make sure we say that this is the first look and not the trailer because there was a lot of part two in this first look. So, if you're not familiar with the plot of Wicked or anything like that, I can understand you're like, what the fuck does that mean? So, there's they're splitting the movie at Defying Gravity. So, the first part, I think it's literally called Wicked Defying Gravity. Not sure what part two is called, but part one comes out this year and it is ending at Defying Gravity. That being said, there is so much added to this movie from the original L. Frank Baum books, like the Oz world, that I'm so excited that they are diving into because it's not something that we've really seen on film other than The Wizard of Oz. And The Wizard of Oz is such a small piece of the Oz world. So to be seeing that, like, they're kind of diving into the world of Oz a little bit more in a way we haven't seen it, I'm so excited. It's obviously based off the musical, but there's going to be some like callbacks to the original books and everything. So I'm just so excited. And like the cinematography, the costumes, the set design, just everything looks so fantastic. I mean, Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo could not have been cast better for this. We got to see Bowen, we got to see Ethan, we got to see Michelle Yeoh. Like, we got to see so many of these characters come to life in this minute-long trailer, and I'm so excited. There's also so much in the trailer that is book accurate that I'm so glad that they paid attention to. Example, in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy wears ruby red slippers. In the book, they're silver, and in Wicked, she's wearing silver slippers. They also like had the four of them in the movie, which they're not necessarily in the Broadway show of Wicked. So I'm excited that they're kind of tying that in. People were confused as to why Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion were in it. I mean, it's like the only way to really like capture the general public's attention on things is to show them things that they know. So like I think it was a smart marketing tactic. I'm curious to see how they play the story of the Wizard of Oz into Wicked because Wicked is like the prologue. Is that the word? The pre this is Wicked is the story before Dorothy lands in Oz. So seeing her at the Emerald City and seeing like Toto and her the slippers, like there's some things that I'm curious how they're going to piece it together, and I'm excited to see like how part one, part two, like what they call out from The Wizard of Oz, what they call out from Wicked, what they call out from the Wonderful Wizard of Oz, just like series themselves. They're just like, as an Oz fan, I'm so excited and like I can't wait. Like this is just going to be like the movie release of the year, honestly. Like I can't think of another movie coming out this year that is going to top this for me. I am so excited, and as the movie comes out, we will obviously talk about it more. I'm sure we're going to get a cast album. They've confirmed that they are going to do a press tour with Ariana and Cynthia. Like so much is happening. I'm so excited. Moving on from the Wicked trailer and staying on the topic of Ariana and Cynthia, holy shit, they looked so good at the Super Bowl. So I love the fact that they showed up at the Super Bowl right after the trailer dropped. So I'm assuming they were together watching it. Again, this is me assuming. The parasocial relationship is, parasocialing. But I'm assuming they like were together off site and watched the trailer together and then got to the Super Bowl because literally like the trailer aired and 10 minutes later they were seen at the Super Bowl. So in my mind, in a perfect world, they were watching the trailer, got out of their car or wherever, and they went to the game. And they showed up wearing matching pink and green bedazzled Louis Vuitton jerseys that said Glinda and Alphaba on the back. I mean, come on. Like, They are just, I love that they are leaning into it so much. I love that they are so close. I love that they've like remained so close after filming and everything. Like it is just exactly what I would want from a film adaptation of this musical, and just, oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait. It is going to be so major. I just can't wait. Oh, can't wait. Anyway, moving on through the night. I'm not gonna go into like the commercials because honestly, I wasn't that thrilled by any of them. There were some good ones, some bad ones. It was very much just like pumping celebrities. It was like, how many celebrities can we fit in these commercials? And like some of it worked, some of it didn't. So I'm not gonna dwell on it because I have so much more to talk about. But moving on from the Wicked trailer, the next thing on my list is the halftime show. Now, Usher was the performer, obviously. I had such high expectations, and he met them. He was fantastic. No Super Bowl performance is going to be perfect unless you're Beyonce. No, I'm just kidding. But no Super Bowl performance can ever be perfect. It's a live performance. So, like, yes, somebody fell. Yes, he was sweating and couldn't open his eyes at some point. Like, there was a lot going on. It's the biggest stage. Like, there's so much happening. But I think overall, he absolutely killed it. It was such a fun, just like callback to like, the early 2000s. He brought out Ludacris. He had Will I Am. Like, he had Alicia Keys. Just like so much going on. I think he nailed it with, I mean, his choreography alone is just like chef's kiss. He can dance like no other. His live vocals are great. Like, and I mean, like, he's not hard to look at either. So like I wasn't mad when he took his shirt off. But like it was just such a great performance. I really appreciated it. I'm like a neutral Usher fan. Like I don't seek his music out, but like I'm not gonna say skip it when it comes on, you know what I mean? So like as a very casual Usher fan, I thought he knocked it out of the park. I thought the cameos were great. Everybody was bitching and moaning that Justin Bieber wasn't there. If he would have came out, would it have been major? Absolutely. But we also have to remember like Justin Bieber does not really like performing live. It is nearly impossible for him to ever finish a tour. And that's not me like dragging him or faulting him. It's just facts. Like he does not do well on a stage. He gets like anxiety. It's like not for him. So I'm not really surprised that he didn't come out as much as I would have enjoyed it. Like it is what it is. You know what I mean? I think Usher absolutely nailed it. I think the guests he brought out were perfect. The dancers were great. Like I just thought it was an all-around great show. I also really like that he started it on the field and then walked to the stage. I thought that was different. Like that's something I don't know that people have done before. If they have, I'm not thinking of it. Did Katy Perry? No, Katy Perry didn't do that. I don't think. I don't know. Regardless, doesn't matter. But yeah, I liked the setup of it. I will say at the beginning I was a little overwhelmed. I was like, there was so much going on, so many dancers. Like I did like the call out to Vegas and so much happening, but like it's the Super Bowl halftime show in Las Vegas. Like, of course, it's going to be over the top. So when you think about it in that sense, I'm like, it was perfectly over the top, and I loved it. I thought it was great, and yeah, is it going to go down in history? Probably not, but definitely a good one. Fabulous job, Usher. The night continues. And this is where it gets crazy. So let's backtrack a few days. I want to say it was like Thursday, maybe either Wednesday or Thursday. It was after I filmed last week, and Verizon posted a video, and it was of Tony Hale with a bunch of lemons. Which, like, at first sight, you're like, all right, he's just like juicing lemons. But then at the end, they played My House by Beyonce. And then when you hear that, you're like, Beyonce, My House, Beyonce, Lemonade, what's going on. Also to note, Verizon was the sponsor of the Renaissance tour. It was like they did the pre-sale, they were the head sponsor, like Verizon's name was on everything. So immediately I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Now there's so much that this could have meant. We could have been getting the Renaissance visuals, could have been getting the Renaissance live album, could have been getting Renaissance the tour movie on streaming, could have been a new album. Like it could have just meant that Beyonce was doing a Verizon commercial. Like I was fully spiraling and I was like, holy fuck, what is happening? So I want to say that was Wednesday or Thursday. Friday, I was at work when this happened, and they posted a video, and it was of Tony Hale and Renee. Now, if you don't know who Renee is, it is the disco tiled horse that Beyonce sits on in the Renaissance album cover. And he was standing there with her in front of a green screen, which, like, we were like, why is he with Renee? What the fuck? So, like, obviously we knew Beyonce was doing something, but that just like further confirmed it. And that started getting me thinking that it was going to be the Renaissance like visuals or something. Like maybe it was like the visuals on a new Verizon streaming platform. But then people started saying she's going to do a residency at the Vegas Sphere. And I was like, wait, that would make so much sense. It just like Beyonce, obviously, like she can sell out a stadium in seconds, but like she's never done like a true Vegas residency, and I feel like that's just like a stamp in your pop girl passport. And I was like, oh my god, this is it. She's announcing a Vegas residency. I was like, I have to go live in Vegas now for 6 months while she's there. Like I have no other option. So I'm spiraling. I'm like, holy shit, what is happening? Saturday happens, nothing obviously. Sunday comes along, we find out that in the third quarter of the game, there will be the Beyonce commercial. So the halftime show ends, and all I can care about is Beyonce. And right after the halftime show, they said it was a Verizon like 4 second commercial, and it was like, if you thought that was good, just wait for what's next. And the shriek that I let out, you probably heard me all the way in Brooklyn. I screamed so loud because I was like, holy shit, like what the fuck is about to happen? And then it happened. My House that's playing, Beyonce comes out. You guys have seen the commercial. If you haven't, where have you been? Like, it's such a good commercial. So let's talk about the commercial and then we will go through the events that occurred after. So the commercial comes on and it is a full production, like scripted commercial. Now, Beyonce doesn't do this. Like, this is not a normal thing for Beyonce to be doing any type of like acting role. Like, just like I was shocked to see her in a full commercial, I need to know how much they paid her for that because they had the bitch in space, they had the bitch on top of the sphere, they had the bitch selling lemonade. Like they had this girl doing everything. I thought it was so well done. And I love the fact that it was just two celebrities in it, Tony Hale and Beyonce. They didn't go over the top. They paid homage to Beyonce's past albums and things like that. It was a fun commercial all around. I love that we got so many looks. I think it was like 8 or 9 looks. She did the call out to Lemonade. She did the AI, the Barbie was so funny. The Botus, she did like so many different looks, which is just like again, getting Beyonce to do all of these things. I was like, this check was fat. I loved it. The whole premise of the commercial is Beyonce is trying to break the internet again because we know nobody breaks the internet better than Beyonce. I mean, 2013, she dropped her album with no promo, broke the internet. 2016, Lemonade broke the internet. Like if one thing Beyonce is gonna do, she's gonna break the internet. And I think it was such a smart, from like a marketing standpoint, such a smart idea to play into that. And like the title of the commercial is like can't be broken, like BEY broken, Beyonce, you get it. It was just like shout out to the Verizon team because they absolutely nailed it on that. But then at the end, Miss Beyonce Giselle Knowles Carter says, all right, drop the new music. When I tell you, I went into such a spiral. I was like, what the fuck? I shot up out of my seat. I was sitting on the couch, booked it to the bedroom, grabbed my laptop. I threw my phone at Thomas and I was like, check Apple Music. I'm checking her website. The Mr. Krabs meme? That was me. I was frantic and nothing happened for a while. It was like 10, 15 minutes. And then they show her on the screen at the Super Bowl. So she hadn't been seen there before. She was low key. Jay-Z was there with the kids. Like they were there, but she was not there. And then out of nowhere, they show her on the screen. Next thing I know, I refresh her Instagram. Boom, a trailer for Act Two. You guys. So there's this trailer. It is very country-esque, and at the end, it flashes Act 2, 3/29, March 29th, which means we are getting a new Beyonce album next month. Like, holy shit. It was crazy enough last week when I was saying we're getting a new Taylor Swift album in 2 months. Now we're getting a new Beyonce album next month. Next month. Like 30 something days. I cannot. And there is so much to unpack about this album. So let's dive in. So first things first, Act 2 is a country album, a full country album, which is very interesting because when Beyonce released Renaissance, it was confirmed that it was a 3-act project. So Renaissance being Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 nobody knew, was it Act 2 being the visuals, Act 2 being the tour, maybe Act 3 was the visuals. Like we didn't know if the 3 acts were of Renaissance or 3 acts, different projects. And now it is confirmed. Act 2 is this new album, this country album. And oh my God. So with that, the fans, the Beehive, we put together that there's this theory that Act one was Renaissance, and it was like house, dance, club music. Then they started piecing together that Act two could be country and Act three would be rock. It's very important to note that because the reason being, and the theory that we're all kind of piecing together, is Beyonce is trying to reclaim the genres of music that people of color created. So, like dance, Vogue music, country music, rock music are all genres that were started by Black people and kind of have been forgotten that that's where their roots were. And I think the fact that this is something that she is allegedly looking to like reclaim, it is such like a genius idea for her to be going through each genre and kind of like reclaiming it and like really just being like, don't forget the roots, don't forget where this come from. And with that, like I give her so much respect. I think the way that her mind works and her artistry needs to be studied to a degree that like I don't even know if we had the technology to right now. Like I just think she is so smart and she does such a good job at like paying respect and homage to the like the artists of the past, like the just I mean Renaissance itself, like how many samples were on that just were paying homage to like these old Vogue house dance artists. So like obviously she has no problem like showing her respect and love for these artists and I'm so excited to see what she does on this new album. So Act 2, not only does she announce the album, she then drops two singles, not one, but two. Now, if you're not a Beyonce fan and this is all just like, okay, cool. This is crazy. So let's rewind a bit. The last album that we knew Beyonce was releasing before it came out, and which is like a surprise drop before Renaissance, was Four, and that was in 2011. So quite some time ago. Then we had self-titled. Then we had, oh my God, I'm blanking, Lemonade. Then we had Everything Is Love. Like there hasn't been, before Renaissance, we went years without knowing when a Beyonce project was coming and just like getting a surprise drop. So when Renaissance was announced and like there was a lead single, there was press, there was promo, it was like a big deal because that is not usually, that's not what she does anymore. Like she is such like a stickler on just like surprise drops, but she went full, I mean, not full, she didn't do interviews and stuff, but like she went a press route, which is like unheard of. So for her to announce this album during the Super Bowl, during the Verizon ad, and then drop two singles from it, like that is crazy. That's crazy. And let's get into them. So she drops Texas Hold'em and 16 Carriages. From what it looks like on her website, these are track one and track two, and they are very, very, very country. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Country music is not my go-to genre. Like I don't ever seek out country artists. But listening to these songs, I was texting my friend Jacqueline and I was like, I think I've realized that it's not country music I dislike, it's the male country artists and like the misogynistic energy that comes from that side of country. Cause like put on Carrie Underwood, put on Kelsey Ballerini, Casey Musgraves, even like Kelly Clarkson does some country. Like I'm into it. Like it's not like I dislike that country music. And I mean, I'll admit it took Beyonce releasing country music for me to realize like maybe I don't dislike country music. Maybe I just don't like men. You know, like maybe that's like the common thread here. But these songs, they are so country and I am so into it. I'm having so much fun. I feel like I need a cowboy hat, my cowboy boots. I need to be chewing on a straw. So let's dive into these songs. Texas Hold'em. Obviously, just from the title alone, she is paying respect to her Texas roots, which I just love. Her dedication to Houston is just like so admirable. In the Renaissance tour movie, if you didn't see it, she like went back to her old house, she went back to her old town and just like was seeing all these places that she grew up and she like brings us back to Texas a lot in her music, which I love that even artists can do that and just like show where they came from and where they are now. So right off the bat, obviously, it's such a shout out to where she's from. But then when we listen to the song, she's saying like she says, "Lay your cards down, come dance with me, don't be a bitch." Like she's saying like, "Come dance." Like I think like to me, she's saying like, no matter who you are, how big you get, what you succeed in, like how successful you are, like don't forget to like lay your cards down and go dance, go have fun. Like don't forget where you come from. She says there's a tornado in her city, but she's surviving off red cup kisses. So like there might be some troubles in her life. There might be troubles in our lives, but like at the end of the day, it's who we're dancing with, who we're drinking with, who we're kissing, like who we're having fun with. Like almost like don't forget where you came from. Don't forget who makes you you. Don't forget the people you love. Like when the going gets tough, like just keep your good people around you. Go dance. She's like that dive bar we always thought was nice. Like go to your little dive bar, go have fun, go dance, go drink, like just like a like almost like when you're taking yourself too seriously, don't. Which I love that that's a message that she is now portraying. She obviously like with Renaissance was the Renaissance tour was such like a moment for Beyonce because she really did like lay back on the perfectionist and just like full fledged was like, I'm gonna have fun, I'm gonna do what I want. And she says in the movie, she's like, I'm 40 years old, like I'm done people pleasing. I'm pleasing myself and that's it. And I think this is just such a great continuation of that message. So just I love it. It's so much fun. And then 16 Carriages. What a heavy song. Holy shit. To go from the two of them, I was like, God damn. I was like shaking my ass, like doing the hoedown, throwdown from 1 second. And then I'm like crying the next. I was like, girl, talk about whiplash. But so 16 Carriages. This is how I'm interpreting it for now. Maybe when I hear the rest of the album, it'll change, but it's almost like a message to herself and her whole career. So she says, 15, my innocence is gone. She signed to, I think it was Columbia, whatever Destiny's Child record label was, she signed when she was 15. They debuted the year later when she was 16, but she got her first record label at 15. So she's saying, my innocence is gone because she got thrown. I mean, she literally just like got thrown into the industry and was like, all right, let's go. So innocence is gone at 15. She's saying there's no time to waste. I got art to make, love to create, and you won't dim my light. So, there's no doubt that Beyonce is probably the hardest worker in the music industry. Like she is so to every detail, you know what I mean? Like her work ethic is so unmatched and she's saying like I don't have time to waste. I have to make this art. I have to like go be with my family. I need to love these people. Like she's got so much to do. At one point she said she's underpaid and overworked, and that's like like when she's Destiny's Child back in the day, and then it later changes to overworked, overwhelmed, I want to say. So yeah, it was underpaid, overwhelmed, overworked, underwhelmed. No, that's wrong. It was, oh my God, I'm getting my words mixed up. Underpaid and overwhelmed, overworked and overwhelmed. That's what it was. So she's saying, she's like, okay, well, I used to be underpaid while I was still overworked. And now she's overworked and she's overwhelmed. So she's like doing all these things. And again, this is just my interpretation of it. But she says, on the back of the bus in a bunk with the band, going so hard, now I miss my kids, overworked, overwhelmed. So she's saying, she's like, I'm on tour, like I'm with the band, I'm touring, I'm doing my thing. She's not always with her kids. So she's like saying, like, yeah, like obviously she's living her dream and like she's fucking Beyonce. Obviously, she's the queen of the world, but like she has her times where like she just wants to be with her kids and wants to be home. And I think listening to this song, she's saying she's like, my innocence was gone. Like she watched her kind of like career start and just like she kissed the carriages goodbye. Like they kind of I almost think of it of her like leaving Texas and like look her like watching it in the background. You know what I mean? Like almost like in a dramatic movie, like almost like Hillary Duff Come Clean. She's like looking out the window and like Texas is behind her and like the big lights are in front of her. You know what I'm saying? So that's the message I'm getting. Such a beautiful song. Just the vocals, the lyrics, like the production, everything on it is so good. And I think these two singles, like setting up the expectations for the album, are just, oh my God, so good. There are some parallels between Act Two and Act One already that we're seeing. So in the visualizer for Texas Hold'em, she walks out and it's like a black background, which is also the Renaissance cover. She's just like a black background and she has this like leather vest on and kind of like these little goggle glasses things, and she shoots fire out of her finger and like blows the smoke off, which to me is kind of like a robotic thing. And at the Renaissance tour, she like the beginning of the Renaissance act of the tour, she like comes out of this like robotic thing. Lots of the visuals like depict robotic people in it, so I'm thinking this is almost like a continuation or another like part of Renaissance, but a different world or something. I don't really know what to expect, but that's just kind of the vibe that I got. But then also in the trailer for the album, there is the billboard of her and she's like tipping her hat and it says Texas Hold'em. And in one of the Renaissance visuals that was teased, she is in like a more of a Renaissance, not Renaissance like fair, but like Beyonce Renaissance, like that black outfit with a black cowboy hat on. So it's like these two billboards with her. It's the same silhouette. She's laying down the same way. So that's like to me kind of like connecting the two albums. They're obviously the three of these albums are going to be sister albums in some way. So I'm really excited to see kind of how they blend together. They're going to be such different sounds, but I mean, Beyonce is such an artist that she'll have such a great way of kind of tying these together. And I can't wait. Like, I guess I like country music. I guess I need cowboy boots. Like, I'm so excited. You guys know Beyonce is my favorite artist of all time. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I can't believe we're getting a new Beyonce album next month. Freaking crazy. I'm sure by next week there'll be new updates. She took her merch site down, but she hasn't released like the pre-orders, the cover. We don't know the name of the album. Like, we don't really know much yet, but if you remember for Renaissance, she dropped the album name, the cover, and put those like t-shirt box sets up for sale with the four covers on it and the album pre-order like not long after the announcement. So I'm sure within the next week or so we'll get that. So I'm very excited to kind of follow this journey of an album rollout with you guys on the podcast because it's just like, I live for this stuff. As somebody who worked in marketing and is obsessed with music, like this is, I love this shit. So I'm so excited to kind of digest this with you guys. But yeah, Beyonce, holy shit. And then moving on, because remember, we are still talking about the Super Bowl. The last little bit is obviously the Taylor and Travis of it all. So Taylor is spotted. She made it from Tokyo, got back. She was A-OK, no problem. And she is first seen walking like to the stadium with Blake Lively, her mom, and Ice Spice, which like not a crazy crew to be with. Like it makes sense. But I was like, how did Ice Spice get in this mix? I feel like there would have been people before her, but like, I don't know. Not my suite to pick people to sit with. So do you, Ice Spice? Good for you. So she's at the game, obviously doing her thing. I thought it was really funny. There was at one point where Lana Del Rey showed up without her and then like walked up to her suite and they were like holding hand. Taylor was like bent over the side of the suite. And Lana was like picking her hands up and they were like holding hands. And then eventually Lana made it into the suite. But I was like, why was she not just in the suite to begin with? Who knows? So that all happens. The game goes on. Obviously, she's like cheering. There's the moment she chugs her beer. It's just so fun to see her being like a cheerleader girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's so fun to see her doing these out of sort things that we never got from Taylor over the past few years. So I'm very excited to see her kind of just like being there and supporting Travis. So the game goes on. Obviously, the Chiefs win. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. No spoiler. Like, we all know that Chiefs won. They won. It wasn't like they were in the lead the whole time. Like it was a very much like down to the wire thing, which that was exciting to watch. They scored the final touchdown. She goes crazy. Lana gets knocked over. Like so much happens. And then the moment everybody's waiting for, she makes her way down to the field. But we have to say, before she hugs Travis, I love the fact that she let Donna Kelce have her moment with Travis. They hugged, they did their thing. Taylor stepped back, and then Travis just like ran to her. They hugged. There's audio now of them talking, and he's just like, "Thank you for coming. Thank you for traveling across the world for me. Like that, it means so much that you're here." And it's so fun to see them in love. I don't know. It's it the infatuation with them that everybody has. I mean, I'm fully on board. Like, again, another thing that needs to be studied one day because something about them is just like magnetic. I can't get enough. I'm obsessed. So they have their moment on the field. It's so cute. And then the night begins. They go to a club and the chain smokers were DJing. They're playing Taylor's music throughout the night. And like her and Travis are seen like singing to each other. They're singing like Love Story and You Belong With Me from like different sides of the club. And they're together singing, just like cute. Like it was like seeing them be like normal people. It's like the same thing like I would do if Thomas was in the club and like I was getting drinks and he was with our friends and like one of our songs came on. Like you turn around and you like sing to each other, or like what you do with your girlfriends. Like it was just such like a, oh my God, they're real people moment. You know what I'm saying? So that was fun. And then the other crazy thing is last night Taylor's post a TikTok, which like you guys know Taylor doesn't post TikToks that aren't like promotional really, but she posted TikTok and it's like when they say it's only friends and family in the club and it's like her panning to Travis and then like the whole crowd of people behind them. So obviously not just friends and family. And then she pans around and she brought her parents, which is so funny. And I always forget this, but I like her parents are divorced, but they are always together. So I'm always intrigued by their dynamic. Like obviously they work with her closely on a business level. So like I don't think there was like a scandal. I don't think it was like anything major happened. I think they just like it didn't work. But I always forget that they're divorced, but they're always together. So like I really want to know that dynamic. It's literally none of my business, but just something I think about. When I don't think about it often, but when I see them together, I'm like, they are not married. So it's just something I think about. But she posted this TikTok and it was just like so out of character. And I don't know, it's an exciting time to be a Swiftie. I hope this is an exciting time to be a football fan. I know it's not for some people, but like, whatever, I'm living. And yeah, that was the Super Bowl. Really, it was the Beyonce Bowl. Like, to me, Beyonce won the Super Bowl. I literally like the commercial aired, and until they went into overtime, I forgot that the game was on. Like, I was spinning, fully spiraling. I was like, holy fuck, like a new Beyonce album. Like, it was just, ugh, I could not have asked for a better announcement during the Super Bowl. And that's my Super Bowl recap. We have a few more things to discuss. And next up is RuPaul's Drag Race this week. You guys know we're recapping it every week. And I'm going to be completely, totally honest. This episode, it wasn't very memorable to me. Like, it wasn't a bad episode. Just for some reason, I just like, it wasn't, it didn't like floor me. And I don't think that's a good or a bad thing. Like it wasn't, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I know some people really like this episode. There's like some controversy online about what it was inspired by. And I think to say that a doll runway being inspired by anything other than the fact that the Barbie movie was the biggest thing that happened last year, like, let's be real. They did a doll runway because the Barbie movie. So if you know, you know. But anyway, the real star of the episode was the fact that they had La Roche as the guest judge, and he had no problem reading these girls down. It was so funny. He held absolutely nothing back, and I loved it. I want Law as a regular judge. I thought that was the best part of the show. I honestly like. Obviously, I watched the episode, and I we're gonna go into a little bit more, but like, I'm not even gonna bother doing a full recap of this episode because I just like wasn't floored. So moving through, so we get to the runway, they do their thing. The whole theme of this episode was dolls. So they had to create a look for themselves. Then they had to design a doll, like a Bratz. It looked like a Bratz or a Barbie doll, a Bobby doll, a Barbie doll with a matching look or like an inspired by look. It was supposed to match, but they didn't follow that instruction fully. I think the craziest thing that happened the whole episode was the fact that Saphira decided to use her immunity when she looked great. That is fully Plain Jane getting in her head. If you watch the episode, Plain Jane was like talking shit about Saphira, and she was like, I'm not using my immunity this week, but I think she should. And I think she got in her head, and I'm really upset that she did because I don't think Saphira needed to use her immunity this week. I think her look was great. I thought she did a great job on her doll. Even La Roche was like, I wish you stayed and didn't use your immunity because I wanted to critique you and tell you I loved your look. Like, she looked great. So it is upsetting to know that she wasted her immunity, but happy to see that she's living another week. Um, Through the runway, the top three end up being Plain Jane, Dawn, and Q, which I totally agree with. I thought those were the best. Something I thought that was really something just like some karma that came around. So in the beginning of the episode, we see that Plain Jane wants to use this red fabric that Geneva Carr had, and Geneva won't give it up. She's like, nope, sorry, it's mine. You're not getting it. Fast forward to the runway, Geneva doesn't even use the fabric, and then her, Plain, and Plasma, I believe. Yeah, the three of them end up having the same fabric, and they made a comment. The judges were like, how did the three of you end up with the same fabric? So if I was Plain Jane, I would have been pissed, but she ended up being in the top, and Geneva went home. So karma came around, but Q finally wins. 100% deserved this. I think this might be my favorite. My top three of her runways. I think her Share runway was seriously like out of control, and her premiere, her first runway was so crazy. This is definitely, I want to say, top three for me. Top three or four. The ball was great too. Q just doesn't miss. Q was great. I mean, besides last week when she was in the bottom. But that being said, I loved her runway. I thought she did a killer job, and she totally deserved this win. After her meltdown last week, I'm so glad that she finally got her win and doesn't feel like she's being blueballed by the judges anymore. So Q got her win, much deserved. Like I said, Plain Jane and Dawn were also in the top. The bottom was Geneva, Maya, and Plasma. I agree with Geneva and Maya. I didn't think Plasma was that bad, but that being said, the bottom two ends up being Geneva and Maya. They lip synced to Control by Janet Jackson, and honestly, it was a very good lip sync. It was like they both knew the words, which last week was not the case, or 2 weeks ago was not the case. They both had their like flips and tricks, but we all know that Maya is Little Miss Acrobat. So she was flipping and flopping and turning and twirling and the whole nine all over that damn stage. And the girl, she deserved it. She absolutely ate that lip sync. She did such a good job. But that does mean that we see Geneva Carr leave, which we need to talk about her track record because it's kind of crazy. She was the first 2 weeks in the bottom, then she was in the top. No, then she won. and now she's going home. Like it was like a very a wild ride for Geneva Carr. Like she's lip sync. She did this is her third or fourth lip sync, and it is sad to see her go, but that's the show. You know what I mean? Like someone has to go out every week, and there's no denying that Maya devoured that lip sync. So now next week is a new episode. I'm excited to see what the girls have in store, and I hope that it's like a more of an exciting episode to me. I don't know what it was about this episode. Like normally when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to talk about that. Can't wait to talk about this. Like the runway wasn't bad by all means. It just was like, I don't know, something about it I just wasn't like floored by. And this I watched it obviously before the Super Bowl. So when I was writing my outline for this, I was like, did the Super Bowl just like outshine Drag Race for me? But like even when I watched it, I was just like, okay, like it was fine. Like I don't know, it wasn't like groundbreaking television for me, but I'm still loving the season, loving the girls. Obviously, you know, Nymphia is still my favorite. I did like her look a lot. I was just confused because she had a pink bow on herself and a yellow bow on her doll, but she did tweet that she ran out of fabric. I don't know. It was just like it wasn't bad at all. Like she looked great, but I was just like I was a little confused there. But that being said, that is Drag Race for the week, and that brings us to the end of the show. But you guys know we are not done yet. We still have my yes and my mess of the week. So if you're new here, every week I end the show with my yes and my mess of the week. Yes being something I'm loving, mess being something I'm not loving, and we always start on a high note. So let's kick it off with my yes. My yes this week is a new artist that I was just introduced to. So she's not new in general, but she's new to me. Her name is Rachel Chinariri, and she is so good. So my friend Liz, who I know listens, hi Liz, she sent this to me sometime last week, and she was like, oh my god, this girl kind of eats. And she was like going viral on Twitter for her new music videos called Never Need Me, and the song is fantastic. It is so good. So I obviously was like, I need to check this girl out. So I went to her Apple Music page, and she has a lot of music out, and all of it is so good. But she has a new album coming out in May, and she has three singles from it already, and it's Never Need Me, All I Ever Asked, and The Hills. They have been on repeat before Beyonce dropped. These three songs were literally in my rotation nonstop. I was obsessed with them. They are so good. And she's actually coming to New York next month. She has a show in Brooklyn. It's sold out, but I'm gonna figure out my way in. I'm gonna try and get a ticket because I would love to see her. And the day after Liz DMs me about this girl, Adele talks about going to see her when she's in London. She's a UK based artist. So I guess Adele, when she goes home to the UK, she was like, oh my God, I'm going to see her. She was like raving about her, which is just like, A, is crazy that me and Liz talked about her on like, I think it was Friday. And then on Saturday, Adele talks about her on stage. Like, very weird timing. And also just like, can you imagine being like an up and coming artist and Adele talking about you at her Vegas residency? Good for you, girl, because you deserve it. Her music is so good. Please go check her out. I'm gonna add, even though it's not a Drew release, I'm gonna add Never Need Me to my Drew release playlist, which is in my link in bio. There's Apple Music and Spotify, so that way you guys don't have to like search around. Again, her last name is a little hard to spell, so I'll add it to the list so you guys can go there and stream it. But it is so good, and I'm really, really excited to talk about her album when it comes out later this year. And that is my yes for the week and my mess for the week because I can't talk about Beyonce enough. Whew, this really annoyed me. So Beyonce drops these two songs. By the way, my mess is not Beyonce. So just while we're going into it, don't like click out because you think I'm going to talk bad about Beyonce because I could never. If I talked bad about Beyonce, I feel like I would get striked down by God and be dead. Anyway, so Beyonce drops these two country songs. Very country. There is no denying. Literally, it is a country everything. First, Apple Music and Spotify put it in the pop and R&B category, which like, okay, I could understand because Beyonce's main category is that, but like when you upload a song, I'm sure you have to put a genre. So I can imagine they just like didn't put country on it. So that was a little weird, but that's not even the biggest thing. Fans have now been calling in to request these songs on country radio, and a station in, I believe it was Oklahoma, KYKC, emailed somebody back and said, hi, we are a country radio station and we will not be playing Beyonce. In what world can you sit there and be like, oh, I'm not playing an artist, even if they release music in this genre? Like, that just seems a little weird and sounds about white to me. Like, and like, if an artist releases country music and it is the one of the biggest artists of not even just like the year of our generation, play the fucking song on your country radio station because it's only going to help you. people are eating this song up, both of them, but Texas Hold'em was the one in question that they're trying to request because I feel like that's more of like the radio friendly, like fun, upbeat song. So it makes sense to push that on radio. So people were requesting it and they literally were like, no, we're not going to play it. But then today, the, the radio station saw all the backlash online and for the first time in 4 years tweeted, they literally have not tweeted since 2020, I believe. And they said, we hear all of your requests about Beyonce. She's coming up in the next 15 minutes and posted their like lineup for the hour and Texas Hold'em was on the list. So like play with the beehive and you're going to get stung, bitch. Try again. But just like to email that back to somebody, like it just seems so unprofessional. Like, hey, we're a country radio station, so we don't play Beyonce. First and foremost, this is not Beyonce's first dive into country music. Have you not heard Daddy Lessons from 2016? Not to mention the fact that she performed with the Dixie Chicks, or the Chicks now, in at the 2016 CMAs. And before that, she performed Irreplaceable at the CMAs in 2007 with Sugarland. And she's from Texas. Like, it's not like she's like from like Brooklyn and is now trying to do country. She is literally from Texas, and she's very proud of it. And she's done so much country intertwining in the past, and she talks about how country music inspired her. Like, to say you're not going to play an artist, especially when it's Beyonce, something, I don't know, a little weird to me. And I just like, fuck you. Who are you to say you're not going to play Beyonce? Ugh, pissed me off. And that is the end of the show. And what a show it was. My God, so exciting. I was so excited to sit down and record this week. So thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Too Pop to Handle. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you give us a like, hit that subscribe button, leave us a comment. If you're listening to us as a podcast, we are available wherever podcasts can be streamed. Leave us a 5-star rating, leave us a review. It really helps us a lot. I know it's like a silly thing to say, but leaving a rating and a review on a podcast platform is like the biggest way you can help the podcast grow. And it means a lot. Like, I would really appreciate it. So leave us a 5-star rating, leave us a review, tell me what you're thinking. Make sure you're sending this to a friend. I say it every single week. If everybody listening to this sent it to one person, I would double in listeners. And I think people are sending it because the listeners are going up. So keep it up, do your homework, keep sending it out. And as always, make sure you're following us on social media. We are at Too Pop to Handle on all platforms, especially this week with the PCAs coming up. There's going to be so much content going out and I'm so excited. Make sure you tune into the PCAs this weekend. They're on Sunday, February 18th on NBC, Peacock, and E at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time. And until then, I will see you guys next week.